Welcome to Business Now, keeping you ahead of the top stories on Uganda and the global economy. I'm Marco Musime, and the show is made possible by Absa Bank Uganda, a partner in growth, offering smart digital solutions. Remember, DG Loan, giving new customers instant unsecured access to credit via mobile, helping businesses and entrepreneurs like you seize opportunities when they arise. This week, we lead with oil and gas. The Uganda National Oil Company has acquired a 20.15% stake in Kenya Pipeline Company, securing a foothold in the eatery that carries over 95% of Uganda's petroleum imports and giving Kampala some strategic influence over regional fuel supplies. And on infrastructure, Uganda has signed a landmark deal with Tanzania to link the standard gauge railway to its network, tapping support from the African Development Bank and the Central Transit Facilitation Corridor. That's a bold move in regional integration and export diversification. We also bring you a tourism story with the global reach. A Ugandan in Switzerland is promoting cycling as a premium tourism product, while highlights from Uganda's Golira Tourism Roadshow in Luxembourg showcase the country's growing appeal to high net worth international visitors. And on infrastructure, Uganda has signed a big deal. And so this is Business Now. Let us first have a quick look at some of the top business stories dominating debate in global markets. And from Washington, the Federal Reserve signals a pause in interest rate hikes, offering relief to global emerging markets. And for Africa, this could ease pressure on currencies, lower debt servicing costs, and then attract renewed foreign investment, even as global capital remains cautious. In Beijing, China tightening export rules on semiconductors and high-end electronics, sending supply shocks across global tech markets. African manufacturers in this case and infrastructure projects may face higher costs, but local assembly and regional sourcing opportunities are emerging as firms rethink their supply chains. And from Brussels, the $50 billion European stimulus to accelerate the green transition is reshaping commodity demand. Africa producers of copper, cobalt, and lithium stand to benefit, while renewable energy projects across the continent could see a surge in funding and international partnerships. This is Business Now, and this show is made possible by Absa Bank Uganda, a partner in growth, offering you smart digital solutions like the DG Loan, giving its customer instant unsecured access to credit via mobile and helping your business and other entrepreneurs seize opportunities when they arise. Let us stay with critical infrastructure now, because government is working with another regional partner, Tanzania, to develop a cross-border standard gauge railway corridor that will link Tanzania's SGR network with Uganda's planned railway system, potentially giving Kampala direct rail access to the port of Dar es Salaam on the Indian Ocean. An alternative, according to officials, is in its current resilience on Kenya's Mombasa route. Landlocked Uganda currently channels most of its imports and exports through Kenya's northern corridor. The Tanzania link could open up an entirely new central corridor to Dar es Salaam, lowering export costs and reducing transit times for key commodities like minerals, agricultural products, and the like. So the project aligns with broader East African community ambitions to bolster interlinked infrastructure and enhancing trade inflows across Tanzania, Uganda, and potentially into the Democratic Republic of Congo via featured extensions. We spoke to the project coordinator on what this means for Uganda. Mr. Perez Wamburu, thank you very much for speaking to NTV Business Now. We've heard of the good news that Uganda is now, prepared to start its, part of the standard gauge railway construction. We have a history of having issues with financing on most of our projects. Are we now comfortable that arrangements to do with financing are finally in place and we're not going to have issues going forward?
I'm glad to say that there are already commitments from the Ministry of Finance. We have got information that there are already commitments. We have on board the Islamic Development Bank. We have on board African Development Bank. We have on board OPEC Fund for Development, and World Bank is also around. We've been with them the whole of this week. They are trying to see where they can also make a contribution. And of course, the government of Uganda is very upbeat about this financing. So the process of financing is ongoing, and we expect that by maybe October or November next year, that financing issue will have been closed.
When do you expect to start preliminary studies, and at what stage are you?
The studies have actually started. Those ones which I said are aerial surveys, geotechnical investigations, where they dig up soil and go and test it in the laboratory to find out the kind of structures that can stand on such soils, the setting up the camps, the factory which is being manufactured in Italy, the establishing places where we are going to procure local materials like aggregates and stones. All of these are preliminary studies which are actually right now going on.
So tell us about your projected cargo volumes on an annual basis. Do we know what we will be dealing with, especially now when you have talk of minerals and all the other trade that is going to be carried out on those routes that are being planned?
As you are aware, a project of this nature starts with studies, and SGR project has been on our table for quite some time and started with the studies like I've mentioned. And from the studies, we make projections so that we justify the feasibility and viability of the project. In the studies and projections, we have been led to design our system to, by the year 2050, to be carrying cargo of tonnage 25 million tons. But of course, as you know, that this will be developing. When we start construction, the construction will take 4 years, let's say up to 2030. By 2030, we expect that there will be enough cargo for the rail alone to carry maybe 15 or 20, 15 million tons, but will keep on growing, like I said, to the design, to the point where we say in 2050, this railway should be able to be carrying 25 million tons per year.
But let's talk about the elephant in the room. What are the top risks now? We've had a history also of not having good records on environmental issues. Have all these been sorted out, compensation and all that?
The risks in a project like this are there, they exist, and what we do is to mitigate. But we cannot say there are no risks. But the mitigation here is that we already have 60% of the corridor that has been compensated. And in the contract, we have agreed and told the contractor that we shall give you this is a partial handover of this amount of what we have, and then in the next 2 years after we have signed the financial closure, in about 2 years we shall have completed the acquiring the corridor from wherever up to Kampala.
Tell us a bit about how the two will integrate. You have southern and eastern on the Kenyan side and on the Uganda side. I think you touched a little bit on it. Could you give a little more detail on how that will work?
We should not even worry about the integration, because the network in Uganda has been planned as a network that Uganda, at the end of the day, will have developed 1,720 kilometers. And these kilometers include what we are doing now, the eastern section, which is Malaba to Kampala, and it also includes Kampala to Kasese, and then with a branch to Rwanda, and with a branch to Kabale, a place called Muko, where there are said to be a lot of iron ore. So, and then from Kasese to the border with the DRC in a place called Impondwe, and then on the northern side from Tororo we shall go to Gulu, and then branch off to northwards to South Sudan, and then on the northwest, northwestwards to Pakwach and into DRC Congo. That is already planned.
What should Ugandans really expect in terms of the standard of this line, and perhaps maybe even the cost effectiveness of that infrastructure? Where is value for money going to be for the Ugandan taxpayer?
We are promising Ugandans, and it is true, that this railway will be faster in terms of speed. The passenger train will be moving at a speed of 120 kilometers per hour, and the cargo trains will be moving at 80 or 100 depending on what they are carrying. If they are carrying containers, they will be moving at 100 kilometers per hour. If they are pulling these ordinary wagons, they will be moving at 80 kilometers per hour. But also we are promising reliability, that this rail will be much more reliable than the one that we have seen before. We are also saying we are going to, in our operations, we are going to be efficient. I've mentioned the time, we are going to be very time efficient. We are going to be efficient. This is a railroad which you are saying it is a modern road, so it will be much more efficient than we have seen on our rail line before. We have also said this is to be safe.
Are you talking of modern technology? What kind of technologies are we looking at here?
Yes. All those things that I'm mentioning, that I've mentioned, that it is fast, it is efficient, it is reliable, it is safe. This is
that's modernity.
Is actually modernity.
We've heard of stories of an airline lacking parts, for instance, and it was at the point of buying the airline, we were told these are the latest airlines ever. Yes. And you're talking about a railway which is going to be modern. We don't want to be surprised at the end of the day that we cannot get, what do you call them, the sleepers at the end of the day. And we speak of Italian manufacturer, a factory made in Italy. So when you're talking of modern, what assurances are you giving Ugandans in this case, and what timelines are we giving it? Is this a railway that is going to withstand 50 years or 40 years, or is going to start dropping sleepers in a very short period of time?
Our driving power in this railway is going to be electricity that we have not seen before. And if we have seen electricity powering a train, we know what the train looks like and how it moves. But also, this is a train which is going to be high capacity, which we have not seen before. We shall be a train which is almost 1 kilometer long, just one train. That we have never seen this kind of thing. That's the modernity. We're different from what we normally see, maybe 10, maybe 12 wagons behind the locomotive, but we are going to see a train which is almost 1 kilometer long, pulling behind it 4,000 tons in just one go, in one sweep. So we are saying the modernity of this is those capacities.
Okay, and you're talking about the same standard for that light rail mass transports that you're talking about, for instance, for passengers as well?
Yeah, it has passenger, but ours is mainly cargo because of our placement. So it also has passenger. It will be carrying passengers from Malaba to Kampala, or from Mombasa to Kampala.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mboro, for talking that. We are waiting for the train.
Thank you very much. The train is coming.
Uganda government taking a bold step to secure the country's energy lifeline, committing nearly $255 million to acquire a strategic 20.15% stake in Kenya Pipeline Company, in one of East Africa's most consequential cross-border infrastructure deals in recent years. So the investment, executed through the Uganda National Oil Company, transforms Uganda from a landlocked fuel importer reliant on transit goodwill into a shareholder with board representation and veto powers, by the way, inside the very artery that moves more than 95% of its petroleum imports from the port of Mombasa inland. So the move comes as African governments increasingly seek equity positions in critical supply chains to shield their economies from geopolitical shocks, price volatility, and private sector restructuring. For us as Uganda, where fuel is a core driver of inflation, transport costs, and industrial competitiveness, the deal is as much about macroeconomic stability as it is about energy diplomacy.
January this year, 2026, Kenya Pipeline became a public company limited. And so the government of Kenya decided to apportion shares 11,812,644,350 shares to the public, and this is the equivalent of 65%. Kenya government retained 35%. That is where we begin from. So government, through the leadership and guidance of the president, tasked the Minister of Energy to make sure that government of Uganda purchases shares in this very important infrastructure. Kenyan Pipeline Company deals in two businesses only: to transport and to store petroleum products. So it is a pipeline and storage infrastructure. You know very well that the government of Uganda imports 95% of its oil products through this critical infrastructure. So it was therefore strategic for us to buy shares. So there was a negotiation, and the Attorney General and the Solicitor General joined the team from the Ministry of Energy plus UNOC to sit with the team in Kenya to negotiate what we want. Uganda National Oil Company applied to acquire shares in this company of 20.15%. That means the rest of the public Kenya Pipeline Company workers, we are going to share the 44.85% now. Uganda, through UNOP, having taken 20.15%, and Kenya government 35%. Let me also remind you that in May 2024, Uganda National Oil Company signed a transportation and storage agreement with the KPC for the purposes of using the Kenya Pipeline Company system and infrastructure to handle the importation of all our products through Mombasa. And it is supplemented by the ports of Dar es Salaam and Tanga in Tanzania. The 95 that goes through the pipeline amounts to about 2.96 billion liters annually. This and then the remaining 5% imported through Tanzania. It is also worth noting that 65% of the transit volumes through the Kenya pipeline system are destined for Uganda. So when you make a calculation, therefore, Uganda contributes about 35% of the revenues of the company. 35% as a single market, 35%. It was therefore important for the government of Uganda through Uganda National Oil Company to maximize its shareholding in the Kenya Pipeline Company due to the company's criticality, and to secure additional guarantees and protections to manage the inherent conflict arising from the divested shareholding. So, Minister of Finance, the Attorney General, Minister of Constitutional Affairs, my team, all of them worked together to make sure that we successfully engage the government of Kenya to reach this milestone. Through these engagements, the government of Kenya has offered the government of Uganda the following concessions.
Let's talk tourism now, because as Uganda embarks on one of the world's largest tourism expo, the IT in Berlin, Germany, Ismail Sichiu, based in Switzerland and founder of Life Cycling Uganda, says the sport is already making destination Uganda through long-distance rides across the country's national parks, crater lakes, and mountain terrain popular. He urges that adding curated cycling expeditions to Uganda's premium safari packages could attract high net worth travelers, especially from Europe, seeking active and sustainable holidays. This as tourism sector continues its strong recovery, with international arrivals rising to about 1.37 million visitors and tourism earnings reaching roughly about $1.28 billion, according to government figures.
Ismail, you're very welcome to NTV Business.
Thank you, Malcolm.
Yeah, sure. So what are you doing here? You're Ugandan. I expected to find you with bikes here.
Yeah.
What are you doing at the Tourism Expo?
Actually, my plan was to come with my bicycle.
Yeah.
Because the Tourism Expo is about tourism and marketing Uganda.
Yeah.
And cycling is one of the few known sports that we have in Uganda.
Yeah. So what's the potential of cycling to promote Uganda, to promote tourism in Uganda? Why do you call it cycling tourism or sports tourism?
Sports tourism, we call it cycling tourism. It's because a cyclist comes into the country with their bike, or rents a bike in Uganda, and he goes around cycling. The reason why it is important, cycling brings in revenue. For example, a tourist will come, a tourist will need somewhere to sleep, a tourist will need something to eat, a tourist will need a guide, he'll need a cycling mechanic. And if so, a tourist will need to rent a bike from someone who rents out bikes. So there's a lot of potential in cycling tourism. You know, the first point is here in Switzerland. Switzerland is a cycling country. Uganda, we have the adventure cycling trails, one of the best. As I tell you, because I've cycled in Europe, I've cycled in Greece, I've cycled in Italy, I've cycled here in Switzerland, and I tell you, in Uganda, with our green, with our weather, there is nothing that beats the cycling atmosphere in Uganda. I am into the Swiss Cycling Fraternity in Zurich. I am a member, and the thing is that we're looking at a partnership, because I have really had a lot of questions. How can we come and cycle in Uganda?
That's all for you we had on Business Now in this edition, keeping you ahead of the stories on our economy and its place in the global marketplace. I'm Malcolm Sime, and the show is made possible by, again, Absa Bank Uganda, your partner in growth, and it will help your business and other entrepreneurs who want sales opportunities when they come through. Join us next week, this time from Berlin, Germany, by the way, as we continue to track energy infrastructure, tourism, and finance, bringing you the updates that matter for Uganda, Africa, and beyond. Business Now, your window into Africa's business story. Next up is NTV Tonight.